Hag's End is an ancient Nordic tomb located at the top of the mountains west of Solitude and northeast of Markarth. It is reached through Deepwood Redoubt and up the stairs to the northeast of the Forsworn camp within. Inside, there are witches and a Hagraven. Hag's End has a word wall for one of the words of the slow time dragon shout, which is found before the fourth round of battle with the Hagraven. There are several other entrances. However, the main entrance to Hag's End is in a separate world space and cannot be reached by simply walking to the location. It must be discovered first by going through Deepwood Redoubt and entering the Vale. Once the location is discovered, it will be possible to fast travel directly to Hag's End without going through the redoubt. Inside the first room is a door to the left, northeast, in which 3 witches and a Hagraven reside. To the left, northwest, is a sleeping chamber with an alchemy lab and a scroll of firebolt on a table, in the center of the room. On the northeast end of the room is a wooden door that leads to a junction with a room straight ahead and on up some stairs to the right, southeast. The room straight ahead holds several well-hidden rune traps and is otherwise a dead end. Up the stairs is a table with a swinging log trap directly in front, and more stairs up to the right, southwest.
At the top of those stairs is a wooden door, leading to a room with several witches or hags. To the left is a table with the skill book Mystery of Talara, Book 4. Straight ahead is a throne with a hidden door behind it, which can be opened by activating the handle on the wall to the left of the throne, only visible once the appropriate quest has been started. A corpse for the quest, Locate the Assassin of Old, is behind that door. To the right, northwest, is a drawbridge that can be dropped using the lever to its right. This leads up a few stairs to an open iron door to the left, southwest, which leads to another throne room with a frostbite spider that drops from the middle of the roof, and a key, Hag's End key, on a shelf, to the right of the fireplace. On a table against the west wall is the book The Legend of Red Eagle. Back outside the room, a short set of stairs leads further up to the northwest. This leads to a master-locked gate to the west, which can be opened with the key just obtained, and a series of 3 gates upstairs to the northeast, one after another.
Through the locked gate is a crypt with a fire-trapped chest containing leveled loot. The northeast gates can be opened by activating a handle to the left, but caution is advised as spears come out from the walls as soon as the gates open. At the top of the stairs is a room with a circular depression and candles all around. The room holds a hag, a witch, and a Hagraven. From this room, a master-locked door to the northwest, which can be opened with the key, contains minor loot plus a leveled weapon. A master-locked gate to the southwest leads to a small room with nothing in it. To the southeast is a gate, which can be opened by pulling the chain that overhangs the depression. Through that last gate is a path leading up to a large room with a word wall for the slow time shout, to the south-southeast, and an arcane enchanter against the east wall. A door out to a parapet high above Deepwood Vale is on the southeast wall. This is where the Hagraven makes her last stand. On the platform with the altar, where Bloodthorn is found, is a chest with random loot, found by turning right when leaving the door.
The battle will take 4 rounds, with the Hagraven retreating further into the redoubt after losing roughly a quarter health each encounter. In the last round, she will summon 2 leveled creatures to aid her, Frost Trolls and Ice Wraiths, plus Frostbite Spiders and Skeevers. Combinations of these creatures are also possible. The last round can be made very easy if the Shout Unrelenting Force has been mastered. With patience and a high sneak skill, the Hagraven can potentially be bypassed, avoiding the summoned creatures completely. Summoned creatures will not spawn while the Dragonborn is sneaking. However, if she sees them, she will summon her allies immediately. A well-timed Unrelenting Force shout will knock her off the platform and, due to her depleted health from the previous rounds, kill her. It is possible to kill the Hagraven in the 3rd round if the Dragonborn gets an animation kill. If this happens, the Hagraven's corpse will warp out, the same way it does for the other 2 rounds upon exiting the room towards the word wall. The Hagraven's corpse will appear at the place where the 4th round normally occurs, if it was not looted before leaving the room where the 3rd round took place.
With very high sneak and destruction skills, there is another way to kill the Hagraven in the 3rd round. While sneaking, a trap can be set in the area of her 3rd appearance by casting Fire Rune on the oil in the circular depression, then the Silent Roll skill can be used to leave the area without attracting attention. The hag and the witch are likely to step in the rune as they search, igniting the oil. If the Hagraven steps in the fire, not the rune, if she steps in the rune she simply disappears again, and the destruction skill was high enough, she will die instantly, instead of disappearing. If the Innocence Lost quest has been completed and the Dragonborn sleeps after the 1st room and is kidnapped by Astrid, with friends like these, upon return to Hag's End, the Hagraven will be back in the 1st room, apparently a lot weaker, and she can be killed right there. With high sneak and archery skills, it is possible to sneak up on her at each stage and hit her with an arrow, causing her to immediately disappear since she has received more than 1/4 damage. In the final confrontation, back out at the parapet above Deepwood Vale, she can be killed with one shot, thus never having a chance to summon any help. Upon returning to this dungeon after it was previously cleared, as long as enough time has passed, most of the dungeon contents and enemies will respawn. In particular, the final Hagraven will respawn with only 1/4 of her original health, in the final area overlooking Deepwood Vale.
Sarthal was the first city built in Skyrim after the arrival of Nords from Atmora sometime in the middle of the Merethic era. Sarthal was also the first capital of Nord civilization in Tamriel, as well as the largest of the ancient Nordic cities. The city was destroyed late in the Merethic era by the Snow Elves, and then rebuilt by Isgramor after he retook the city. It was destroyed and finally abandoned sometime in the late Merethic or early First era. In the late Second era, the ruins of the city were located by archaeologists near the modern city of Winterhold. After Trinimac and his followers were corrupted into Malakath and the Orcs, they fled to the northern wastes near Sarthal. During the city's construction, the Nords unearthed the Eye of Magnus, which they attempted to keep secret by burying it under the city. The Snow Elves learned of the powerful artifact, however, and wanted it for themselves. They attacked the city in order to secure this power, an event known as the Night of Tears. Everyone except for Isgramor and his 2 sons, Ingol and Ilgar, were killed and the city was burned to the ground.
Isgramor fled back to Atmora to gather an army with which to fight the elves. Before the Snow Elves could find their prize, Isgramor and his 500 companions returned, strengthened by powerful enchanted weapons and armor created by Arzadal, drove the elves back from Sarthal, and began a campaign to drive them from Skyrim entirely. Reports from Dominion scouts suggest the ruins were still visible during the interregnum. Although the city was lost, the Eye remained buried under Sarthal until the College of Winterhold unearthed it in the 4th era. The local Nords, however, did not approve of the college mage digging among the dead of the ruined city. Jirik Gulderson, one of the 3 sons of Archmage Gulder, fled to Sarthal after his treachery in seizing the powerful amulet of the Archmage. He fought and killed 10 of Archmage Gaiman's battle mage before finally succumbing, and was sealed within the ruins. One of Isgramor's 500 companions, the legendary warrior Raini, claimed to have survived the Night of Tears and sailed back to Atmora with Ilgar.
The Eye of Magnus is an ancient artifact of unknown origin. It possesses a great amount of magical power and can be manipulated with the Staff of Magnus, which once belonged to the god of magic himself. It was discovered by the ancient Nords when they were building the city of Sarthal. In 4E201, during an expedition in Sarthal, the Eye of Magnus was uncovered by members of the College of Winterhold. The artifact was transported to the college for examination. Ankano, a Thalma agent, attempted to draw power from the Eye, but was prevented and killed by members of the college. Monks from the Sigic order, who had been observing the situation, arrived to take the artifact, claiming that it was too unstable to keep in Mundus. Ankano's meddling with the Eye had long-term effects, causing ruptures to appear across Skyrim, through which dangerous magic anomalies emerged.
The college tried its best to close these ruptures using the Staff of Magnus.
Ancient Caduita mythology writes that when Magnus fled from Berthra and Lorcage, he could only see out of one eye and fell into the moonshadow. Their Azura judged him as too full of fear to rule a sphere, and she tore out his other eye. Magnus left to the heavens blinded, but Azura made of his eye stone to reflect the Valiant's gate. This is the ether prism, which opens at dawn and closes at dusk. Some sorcerers hold that Magnus left the eye willingly, as an offering to Azura and her children, and these mages still utter prayers to his name. However, it is not known if the Eye of Magnus has any connection to this myth. The Eye of Magnus is always upon us, in the spells and enchantments that devout mage conjure. Excerpt from the Lesson of the Divine.
Magnus, also known as the god of magic, the sun god, the great architect, he who abstained, and the sorcerer king, was a prominent Eta, one of the original spirits. During the Dawn era, Lorcan persuaded Magnus and several other Eta to help create the mortal plane, Mundus. Magnus was said to have been the architect of Mundus, as he created the schematics and diagrams needed to construct it. As Mundus began to form, it became evident that many of the Eta would be required to sacrifice much of their power in order to form the mortal plane. As their aspects began to die off, many of the Eta vanished completely. Magnus decided to terminate the project. He fled to Aetherius in the last of Mundus' birth pains, and his departure tore a hole which became Nirn's son, itself known as Magnus. The Eta who chose to stay became the Elnathae. Many other Eta, who became known as the Magna-Ge, followed Magnus, tearing smaller holes in the sky, which became the stars. Though it is sometimes believed that the stars are actually fragments of Magnus himself.
After Magnus' departure, the Eta convened at the Adamantine Tower at an event known as Convention and decided to punish Lorcan for his trickery. In the eras that followed, many Altmer and Bretons venerated Magnus as a god, and he became a part of their respective pantheons. The Aeliads, masters of the arcane arts, worshipped him as the god of sight, light, and insight, and were known to dedicate temples in his name. The Priory of the Golden Staff were peaceful followers of Magnus headquartered near Stormhaven, teaching of Magnus's grand design for the Mundus and his disappointment at the flaws introduced into his creation. They were in possession of forbidden texts that revealed a darker design. Some of the Magna-Ge once sought a tool to unmake what had been made wrong, in order that it could be remade in accordance with the architect's plan, which became Mehrunes Dagon.
Breton followers of Magnus sometimes use wicker effigies as stand-in for themselves when performing certain rituals. The Caduit worship Magnus, where he is commonly known as the Cat's Eye or the Third Eye of Azura. Cyrodiilic legends say Magnus can inhabit the bodies of powerful mage and lend them his power. He is also associated with Zirin Arctus, the Underking, and is sometimes represented by an astrolabe, a telescope, or, more commonly, a staff. He was rumored to have had dealings with the Blades, going as far to entrust them with a map to his staff. The New Life Festival, which takes place across Tamriel, was originally in celebration of Magnus. During the Second Empire, the worship of Magnus was strictly prohibited in imperial society. Morrowind legends, specifically from Vivek's famous sermons, claim that Nerevar was banished from the Library of the Sun by the power of Magnus. Reachmen celebrate their version of New Life Festival, a holiday originally dedicated to Magnus, and pray for Rokibeg, the aspect of her sign to protect the sun. He supposedly created and used the Staff of Magnus, one of the elder artifacts of Tamriel. Legend tells that it's the only artifact capable of containing his immense power. In time, the staff will abandon the mage who wields it before he or she becomes too powerful and upsets the mystical balance it is sworn to protect. Another artifact attributed to him is the Eye of Magnus, an ancient relic of immense power that was found buried under the Nordic city of Sarthal in the Merethic era and later rediscovered in 4E201. In Cyrodiil, a magical stone, supposedly associated with a long-forgotten cult, can be found southeast of Bravel. Known as the Magnus Stone by the populace, it is said to grant a powerful blessing that bolsters the magical abilities of certain individuals.